I'm so good at worrying. I'm truly so good at worrying. I am a world championship worrier, or I would be if this were like a recognized sport, which it should be because I watched the Olympics this year. We're calling a lot of things sports. They're really just fun activities. But I've worried about everything, literally everything. I've worried about things I've done. I've worried about things I haven't done. I've worried about things I have said. I have run through imaginary scenarios in my head based on other imaginary scenarios.
Imagination!
I have basically written, directed, and starred in several one-act plays and feature films in my own mind constantly for as long as I've been able to form coherent thoughts. With every exploration of every worst-case scenario, I used myself as an avatar for possible versions of myself. I was gaming out possibilities and eventualities. If this, then that. If this, then that. And if this, I think you know it's going to be that. And that, by the way, is always awful. It is a dark tunnel with no light at the end. It is me being ostracized from the playground in 3rd grade, never to have another friend for all of my days. It is me bombing my ACT scores and ruining my chance at ever going to college. It is my boyfriend dumping me for the hot friend of his that he says he isn't interested in, but how could he not be? I'm interested in her. She's interesting. She's a babe. They're gonna get married and laugh about me for the rest of their lives. Worrying in a lot of ways felt productive. I was creating these worlds that I might one day inhabit. If I could feel the worst feeling before it arrived, if I could pre-live the worst moments, then maybe they wouldn't feel so horrible when and if they happened. This is why I took a lot of time imagining my parents' sudden deaths as a child. Kids are so dark and weird because I remember telling this to other people and them being like, yeah. Doy. What else would you do as a kid if you were trying to fall asleep? You have to imagine your parents dying together in a car accident or some kind of explosion, and then you and your siblings all living as orphans, being sent to live with their respective godparents. What kids don't know is that's not what godparents do. Okay? This is back when I thought the role of a godparent was to take in the orphan child because what else would be their responsibility? I thought godparents were like a legally binding contract. That it turns out, no, they were just meant to like spiritually guide me into a Catholic faith that neither of them believed in. But that's neither here nor there. I'm good at worrying. I'm the best. When my boyfriend Aaron was hospitalized with what doctors would tell us was a brain tumor, I was immediately out of that hospital room and into a detail-rich future scene. I was in black in the front pew of a church next to his mother. His mother and I held hands. We placed roses on Aaron's casket. We watched as it was lowered into the ground. We threw a handful of earth onto that box. We held each other as we cried. I did this. I played that all out while my beautiful, hilarious, and very alive boyfriend was right there, alive, freaked out that there was something growing in his brain. And no disrespect to me, except yes, much disrespect to me. What a waste. What a waste. Not just in that moment, but every moment like it. Because while I sat there playing through every worst case scenario, I was doing literally nothing. No, not nothing. I was like raising my heart rate and my cortisol, probably setting myself up for long-term health problems related to chronic stress, my GERD that just gets gross, ew. This is probably how I gave myself GERD. Okay, I was staying up for days at a time fueled by anxiety and worry. I was spending the present moment in a place that I had no control of, the future. And I don't say, oh, this is a waste of time because I could have been doing something else with the present moment, like learning a language or trying to remember how to knit. No. It was a waste of time because I should have had some basic pattern recognition at some point and realized that for every scenario that I had fretted over or banked on, none of them came true. None of them. That's not exactly true. Aaron did die, but not how I imagined and not right away. We had 3 years of life after that night. We had a baby. We went on a bunch of road trips. We saw Bruce Springsteen. We saw Beyonce. We watched a lot of TV together. We ate a lot of really good food. And more than once, we got each other the same Christmas gift. And when Aaron did die, none of that worrying helped me. Not one bit. During his last days and his last breaths, at no point did I think to myself, good thing past me already felt this. Looks like we can move on, baby. I have already done this. No, there was no pre-feeling. There was no pre-living those moments or any other. And aside from that one huge example where yes, the worst case scenario did happen, I can confidently say that if I were a numbers person and I ran the numbers would clearly show you that the vast majority of the time, the worst case scenario doesn't happen, and neither does the best case scenario. Most of the time, our feeble little imaginations are so far off base that it is really just a boring scenario. It's a boring, forgettable scenario we won't be able to remember the details of in 5 months, weeks. It will be a scenario so bland that to remember it would be like remembering the best piece of toast you ever had, or the shade of paint in the hallway of a building you walked through one time while also texting. Mostly the scenario will be forgettable. Mary Oliver once wrote, "I saw that all my worrying came to nothing." Same. I'm Nora McInerny. It is going to be okay. You can find our daily podcast linked in our show description. We also love to hear your okay things and share them. You can send them to us in 2 ways. You can email IGTBO@feelingsand.co or call us 612-568-4441. We like to know what makes you feel like it's going to be okay, even though like big picture, the world is not the best, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Oh boy. All right, we're gonna be done.